Let's get connected.
Neighborhood Connect.
Paul Young here with Joyce Cox. We'd like to thank you all for listening to Neighborhood Connect. Vice President of Client and External Relations for Universal Commercial.
Proud to be a part of this podcast.
Neighborhood Connect.
You always get enlightened, inspired, and then, there's no more inspiring and enlightening place than Memphis, Tennessee.
Neighborhood Connect.
Hello, everyone. You're listening to Neighborhood Connect. We are here in Cooper Young. Excited to be here at the Epicenter, and I'm here with my co-host, Joyce.
Yeah, well, good evening and good afternoon, good morning, whatever it is in your life today. And we are here in the heart of Cooper Young at the infamous Epicenter.
Yeah.
And we have an audience today. Can you believe it? Can you believe that? Our neighborhood podcast show, we're on a tour. And our theme for this tour is igniting the power of everyday people to create an extraordinary world right where you live.
That's awesome. That's awesome. We have some great guests with us here today. And in the audience, if you have questions, thoughts, we will have an opportunity for you to give some of those. So feel free to step up to the microphone and ask any questions when you get an opportunity. So first, I want to introduce these illustrious guests that we have. We have Mr. Mike Davis, who's a local entrepreneur, jack of all trades. Here. Welcome, Mike.
Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you for being here. We also have one of my friends, my colleague from Leadership Memphis, Miss Regina Campbell. She's the Chief Program Officer here at Epicenter.
Well, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So, Regina, we want to start with you. So tell us a little bit about Epicenter and what you do here.
Certainly. At Epicenter, we are the entrepreneurial hub. We lead the connected and collaborative entrepreneurship ecosystem here by working with partners to connect entrepreneurs and their innovative ideas to resources to help them start, launch, grow.
And so what are some of the things that you do to help entrepreneurs as they come through these doors?
There's a few things that we do. We like to say, one, that we are the front door to entrepreneurship, again, from folks who have ideas all the way to folks who are existing and looking to scale. So we offer a set of programs through partners, like we have worked with StartCo, who has accelerators. We also offer a co-starters program for folks who are in that idea stage, and you'll be hearing from Mike, who's participated in some of our programs. Also, the initiative, the 800, which I'm sure both Ms. Joyce and Paul, that was birthed out of Mayor Strickland, the Office of Diversity and Compliance, to support minority-owned businesses and opportunities to be able to connect them to procurement to be able to grow. We know that in entrepreneurship, that jobs are created in this growth stage of business. So those are just a few things that we do. One that's also important that we find across the country is capital. The capital stack is one of the things that Epicenter has worked diligently in raising $40 million to support businesses from ideation, from prototype to also scaling their business. And we're proud of the final thing, which is our talent program, which we have executive and residents and entrepreneur residents that have specific industry experts to support businesses along their path with accomplishing milestones that are necessary.
So when you talk about the neighborhood piece, kind of elaborate on that. When I think about businesses, when you think about FedEx, it started as a small business. So did Walmart. But it came from neighborhoods. So kind of tell us a little bit about that, because I'm interested. Perhaps I may, in another life, be an entrepreneur.
Certainly. So one of the things I'll lean into is some of the work that Leslie Lynn Smith, our CEO, did in Detroit, launched what was called a place-based entrepreneurship, which specifically focused on neighborhood businesses in place, helping businesses launch into brick and mortar, but also scale in brick and mortar. So as a team at Epicenter, we have a number of national experts who look to scale and launch neighborhood businesses. One, we believe that it is definitely a tool and a vehicle to economic mobility for community You have restaurants, retail, a number of amenities that folks want in neighborhoods.
Exactly.
Cooper Young is one neighborhood that really exhibits a number of that. It's walkable. You have a variety of small mom and pop shops, everything from coffee to fitness, retail, and definitely I love food. So you got a number of food places here. And so the neighborhoods are critical to building social mobility, but also economic mobility, but also community building. It's where we gather when we go into a restaurant and we engage in conversation.
So, Mike, I want to bring you in here. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you've been doing here at Epicenter?
So I went through this program called Co-Starters with Epicenter. It's a 9-week program for entrepreneurs who are in the idea stage. So I really wanted to join that program to get used to the entrepreneurship spirit here in Memphis. I was so eager to join the entrepreneurship community. When I was in college, I was all about entrepreneurship. And so I just really wanted to jump back into it. And so going through Co-Starters, it was really a support group. They taught us everything from finances to marketing, anything that you need to grow your business. And still to this day, myself and 3 other entrepreneurs from that class, we still meet up every Monday. We actually have started our own podcast as well. And so that's been great coming from Co-Starters. And another opportunity that came to me from Co-Starters was to join the 800 Initiative speed pitch competition, which I won first place in.
Oh, yay!
Great. Congratulations. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
So my next question is actually for both of you guys. There's probably somebody listening that has the entrepreneurial bug, but they're scared to jump out of their comfort zone and get in there and do it. So what advice would you give to someone who is thinking about starting a business? And I'll start with you, Mike, and then I'd love to hear from you as well, Regina.
What took me jumping out there, it was, I really didn't see myself being at my day job forever, And so it was more so of the fear of what would come if I didn't jump out, So I would say don't be scared, but just jump out there, test it out, like see, test your market and see where you can go from there,
Right, Regina?
And so a couple thoughts being, so one person who I had a small scale manufacturing business then for about 2 years and then working family as with some entrepreneurs, you have to put that on the shelf. If you don't move forward with your idea, somebody else is likely to do it.
True.
And so in learning that, I have a technology that is sitting on the shelf that I'm looking to take off before somebody else does it. I think the world needs all types of ideas. Right. And so I encourage them, one, to take advantage of resources like at Epicenter, epicentermemphis.org. Go there. You'll be able to get mapped to our front door to begin to start walking through that next step.
What about, have you ever done anything with nonprofits that may want to do a for-profit arm of the organization? Could they take advantage of Epicenter?
One of the things that we do, specific to sort of nonprofits is Momentum is a great partner here, and they're right up the street from us. Yeah. We will typically refer folks there, but I will say if we're sitting down with an entrepreneur or someone who's not sure of nonprofit or for-profit, I typically will walk them through sort of a business model canvas, which is an easy way to think through that. In some ways, I think people think it's easy to start a nonprofit, and fundraising is actually a beast. Sometimes if they have a specific skill or service, they can start small, sell it, test it out. So it just depends on where they at, where we will encourage and support around a for-profit idea.
So, Regina, I just happen to know a little bit about you because in our class a week or so ago, you shared a lot. And one of the things I know is that you're a proud Detroiter. You're somebody that moved here from Detroit. I know Leslie Lynn Smith, who's the president here at Epicenter, is also from Detroit. What parallels do you see between the entrepreneurial communities in Detroit and what do you see in Memphis that are similar, and what are some of the things that you think give Memphis some type of differentiating factor, whether it's a competitive advantage or not, but what makes us different?
So as far as Detroit, like Memphis, is a majority minority city. the spirit and love for Memphis. I see that across Memphians, which I absolutely love. As a Detroiter, we ride or die, and Memphians are ride or die. Also, the aspirations of an entrepreneurial spirit is as present there as it is here. We have this thing called the Spirit of Detroit, which I absolutely love. It's one of my favorite monuments in Detroit. It talks about the spirit of the people, and there's a certain spirit or soul that Memphis has here. So there's those common themes. The will and desire here. I think what's unique and as far as an opportunity here in Memphis is we get to build a lot more around partnerships and filling in gaps. Detroit has 40 plus organizations that do entrepreneurship specifically in a place-based area. And so here we have only so many, so it creates opportunities for us to build more entrepreneurship in neighborhoods with some of the partners like Advance Memphis, who's doing some amazing things. And so the landscape, I will say, from a sort of land use perspective, a lot of solid commercial structures here, which create opportunities to sort of do reuse around where they're sort of multifamily. So I think there's a lot of, I was pleasantly surprised to see there's a lot of good stock here as far as commercial use and residential. Detroit doesn't have a lot of that there. When it talks about renovations there's a lot of investment that has to happen. So the spirit, the will is here, which aligns significantly and which is important. So
I was reading this book, and the name is escaping me, but it's about gentrification. And one of the things that it talks about is how the communities that actually are faced with this gentrification problem usually aren't the communities where most of the buildings have been torn down. They're those communities that still have the historic fabric of the neighborhood, so the structure still exists, the street design is still intact. And so I see a lot of opportunity in Memphis for redevelopment. I think that one of the things that we are challenged with is making sure that it's equitable. And so that's why I think the work that you're doing here at Epicenter is going to be critical to the growth of this community, because we have to make sure that our business sector, that the neighborhoods have these spaces that can be occupied by business. The same thing that you described about Cooper Young, where you have all of these mom and pop shops, and it's a very vibrant, walkable community. Those are the things that we want to see in neighborhoods across the city, and we have the bones for it. It's just a matter of being able to activate it.
Yes, I agree tremendously with opportunity. One, I mentioned earlier that entrepreneurship adds great value to economic mobility, additionally to community building, but also it creates opportunity for when we talk about building wealth. In Detroit, we literally were able to help open up businesses in strong markets like downtown, even Midtown, the riverfront area, and our neighborhoods. And this allowed for small business owners who technically wouldn't have been able to engage in that market to do well. We have folks who will be celebrating their 5-year anniversary this year when we started that place-based program called SWAT City under Leslie Lynn Smith. And so to your point, creating opportunities for them to engage in markets that are on tipping points in neighborhoods is critical.
Exactly.
You are listening to the Neighborhood Connect podcast. We are doing the podcast tour right now. We're here in Cooper Young.
Yes.
And Joyce, I think I cut you off. You were getting ready to ask another question.
Well, actually, I was about to say that Memphis is the bomb tickety. I love that. I love it. I love it. But you said SWAT. Is that what you call the program?
SWAT City.
SWAT City. Okay, so tell us what that means, SWAT City.
It's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Right.
It was a high-touch portfolio engagement program for helping businesses launch and businesses scale in neighborhoods. It still exists. We started in one neighborhood, went to 4, and now it's citywide. And so have opened up restaurants, fitness studios, help scale small-scale manufacturing businesses in walkable neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the work, again, was leveraged with strong partners. We work with partners like we do here. They know the neighborhood. They've participated in the Memphis 3.0 plan, and being able to look to those and map opportunities
Exactly.
that residents want, I think it's critical.
I like that.
Yeah, I do too. So Mike, you told us a little bit about your engagement with Epicenter, but you didn't tell us anything about your entrepreneurial shit and what are you doing? So, but why don't you tell everybody what types of initiatives you have underway?
I want to give a shout out to Memphis because just from listening to my customers, most of my customers so far have been in Memphis. They've been giving me great feedback. So when I started out, my app was named Alamy. And when people looked at it, they really couldn't pronounce the name. They'll say something like all of me or alimony or something like that. And so just from listening to their feedback, I decided to change the name of my app, and it's now called EventSnap. And what EventSnap does, it collects all the photos that people take at any event, and it puts it into one group called your memory album. So during the event and after the event, you can post pictures. People can like them, they can comment on them, they can share them to other social media sites, and they can message each other straight through the app.
Can the app be downloaded now, or are you still developing it?
The app can be downloaded now. I'm in the process of changing the name, but I'm pretty sure by the time this episode airs, it'll be out there. It'll be ready.
And you can find it on Google Play, iTunes.
You find it on Google Play and iTunes Store.
All right. Well, I'm going to look for that. That sounds like something I could use at some of the events that we do.
Sounds good.
So, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm so
Good.
excited. I'm so excited. I wanted to ask Regina a question. I wanted to hear, there are all of these great ideas, and if you've ever heard the mayor speak, you've heard him say this term momentum.
Yeah.
There's a lot of momentum that's happening in the city, and it's due in large part to the citizens and all the things that are being created here. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the ideas that have originated or been supported by Epicenter that people may know of?
Big Mamas and Grannies is one of the opportunities that we're extremely excited about. She's in Bartlett. It was supported by Pathways through our capital stack and some support through our talent support there. And so we're excited that she's opened up. You all are familiar with her as well. She's done some catering for the city. Mm-hmm. And so we're looking forward to more of that. The 800, I've got to say we're extremely proud of that because that is actually the forward-facing, so we're thankful to Mayor Strickland for that. That's the forward-facing part that you can say Epicenter with its partners are working to help scale Black-owned businesses. And so with FedEx support as well, Starco doing great project management. You have Joanne Massey with her team, Christian Brothers University, all of us coming together to help provide support. And also Mike is also a participant of Propel, which is that accelerator that connects them to further opportunities. So when I think about that, I'm excited. And then also the raise that our boss, Leslie Lynn Smith, did with the $40 million of the $100 million that we're going towards Raise Local. That's huge.
Yes.
Oftentimes, people look for investment, but Memphis talk about momentum. They stepped up and said, look, we're going to invest locally $40 million into Entrepreneur, which makes a nice lever for raising other money from, national and other places, right? Memphis said, look, we have entrepreneurs that's worth investing. So those are some areas that I'm tremendously proud of.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes, we have used, Big Mamas and Granny's Catering, and the food is delicious. It is.
And we had some of her amazing soup last Friday. Thank you. It was amazing. Amazing.
Well, we're also known for food, so yay to the caterers and restaurants in the city of Memphis. This is awesome.
And I also want to shout out Joanne Massey because Joanne, that's one of my good friends, and I know that you all have some deep partnerships with her, the Office of Business Diversity and Compliance. So excited about that. Those that are listening, I want you guys to, if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, please feel free to step up and give us those questions because I'd love to get them. We have about a few minutes left on the podcast. So how would a person who wants to take advantage of these services tap in? How do they become a part of the Epicenter if they have these great ideas?
It's really easy. We have a front door, the website, www.epicentermemphis.org, or come to our front door.
All right.
We are at 902 South Cooper Street.
Great.
Well, we're going to put that in the neighborhood. Yeah, so, once again, you are listening to the Neighborhood Connect podcast tour, where we are igniting the power of everyday people to create an extraordinary world right where you are and live. So, audience, you have any questions for us? Just ask. I know you're burning.
If not, don't worry about it. Come on, step on up, please. You had to come to the mic so we can hear you.
Okay, great. We love comments too.
Yeah, please.
Thank you for the opportunity. As a recent co-starter graduate, I just wanted to commend Mike for his great work. Thank you. And going forth, I appreciate it. And then also to Ms. Regina, I just want to ask a quick question, because building relationships is important, and people like to see transparency. So what is a personal goal that you have of your own connected with the Epicenter to reach people in the community? I think that's a good viewpoint, because we can partner with agencies, but people like to know who's Regina.
So I thank you for that question, but I would be totally remiss if I didn't ask you to, one, introduce yourself and talk about your business. We did utilize your services for Epicenter during the holidays, so if you could do that, I promise to answer.
Forgive me. My name is Yukita Hall, and my company is Y Unique Floral and Gifts. I'm actually a 2.8-year entrepreneur, and I'm looking to scale out into the 901 community. And thanks to the Epicenter, Regina, Taylor, the crew here, I've been inspired to look at my company in a different perspective. And one is making sure that we make contact and keep the relationships open. New relationships are important, just as the ones we continue.
Thank you. So a goal with Epicenter, I will say, with a team, there's nothing that happens without us as a team, is to be able to sit in service to community, one, listening to partners and entrepreneurs to flood the system with programs and resources that they need at a place and time where they are for their business. And that might sound sort of vision-y, kind of grandiose-y, but we're here really to help support entrepreneurs and partners. And there are some program gap needs here. We want to fill those. There are some businesses who are existing who may need access to talent or capital. We want them to know that we're here. And so again, we want to be the center of providing any access, any resource in real time to entrepreneurs from ideation to scale up.
Well, I wanted to say this. This morning, I was in a conversation with one of our neighborhood leaders, and she was talking about her community where it used to be the streets were full of mom and pop, entrepreneur, restaurants, grocery stores, the whole nine. However, a lot of the businesses have been abandoned. So when you talk to people like that, it's good to know this, because I think we can refer some of the people to you to figure out, well, how do we encourage small businesses to come back to the communities? You've got vacant buildings. So, that's a good partnership. And I know our director doesn't mind me saying that, because we would love to stay connected.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Because
I've talked to Ms. Smith about that in the past. We have one more question before we wrap up, and if you can introduce yourself and then ask the question.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Taylor Sherbine, and I'm actually the community manager for Epicenter. So part of that is managing our co-working space at 902 South Cooper Street. And I previously helped organize the Co-Starters program that has been mentioned several times. My question for both of the grads that we have in here, as Mike had mentioned earlier, each week of the class kind of covers a different topic. He had said marketing, financials, things like that. What week was your favorite, and were there any guest speakers that really stood out to you that really helped you with your business?
Thank you for asking that question, Taylor. So for me, my favorite week was really every week. I love the speakers who came through and spoke. I actually just had the opportunity to go and visit one of our speakers. His name is escaping me, but he's the owner of the Century House, Anton Mack. That's his name.
He's a great guy.
And so I went to his happy hour on Friday. He still remembered me. He still remembered coming and speaking to the program. And I just love all the enthusiasm that the entrepreneurs who come and speak to our class gives us. It gives us so much hope. It was this guy who owns a restaurant. I think his last name is Patrick. His first name is escaping me, but this guy actually came to us and poured his heart out to us, and literally,
Is that Patrick Riley?
Michael Patrick.
Michael Patrick. Okay.
He just poured his heart out to us, telling us his struggles, everything that he had to overcome to start his business, and it was so inspirational just to hear. And so it's just, those are the things for me that made Co-Starter special.
Great. What about you?
I think it's funny how we as individuals can think we're doing the best at something.
Yeah.
Co-Starters is the type of program that sheds the light on your best. And even though I have a professional development background, entrepreneurship is totally different. Mm-hmm. So your marketing is totally different. So I do like the personal goal week we had where we looked at our personal life to see, do we even have time to scale out, right? If you want to scale out, or, what are some things you want to remove that are in the way. And I also like to make mention of a special speaker we had, Mr. Jack Simon. He was dynamic. He's an author, marketing specialist, motivator. Some of you all in here know Jack, I'm sure, all his many titles. But his motto is what's tied to my business, and his motto is create your culture. Is that correct? I think it's create your culture, or create the culture you want to see. And my company's motto is create it to be creative. So when I mentor with Jack outside of our class session, as a Caucasian male and me being an African American female, I'm just going to tell you that diversity is very important to me, and I think it's important to the world. So to have his input on my website development, my layout, it was phenomenal. And plus he gave me extra pointers. So Jack Simon, to him.
Well, thank you for that question. This is good insight as to what type of things you can expect to come out of Epicenter. There's excellence. There are great things that are underway. I think that brings us to the end of today's episode. But I want to thank you all for allowing us to occupy your space for today. Always good to be in Cooper Young, and even better to be with Epicenter.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I'm Paul Young, here with Joyce Cox at Epicenter on the Neighborhood Connect podcast tour, where we are igniting the power of everyday people to create an extraordinary world right where we live. Thank you.
Neighborhood Connect, produced and hosted by Paul Young and Joyce Cox with the City of Memphis Housing Community Development. Neighborhood Connect, produced, recorded, and distributed by Kudzukian.
Let's get connected.
Neighborhood Connect.
A renowned author, Mr. Preston Lauterbach.
Welcome.
Thank you. I never get tired of the word renowned attached to my name. That works.
You are certainly renowned
Neighborhood Connect.
on some of the things that have happened in this community, and so we're glad to have you on the show today.
Well, it's a healthy addiction, I think.
Neighborhood Connect.
Neighborhood Connect.